Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Doki Literature Club. Um, like I said last time, we're gonna go ahead and do the side story, uh, Trust Part 2. But first, I want to show off the rest of the pictures that I've gotten because I've gotten quite a lot since the last one. Uh, I got all the secret ones. So we have this one, which is Can You Hear Me? We have this one, which is that one I was telling you about um in the previous video where I was talking about Matt Pat's game theory on the series, where it's all pretty much blacked out except for a few letters which spell out nothing is real question mark. But there's actually a secret story behind all those black bars. And unfortunately, because I can't really change the brightness to show that, um, it's kind of impossible to show that. But that's why I linked the game theories in my last video, or the one before that. I can't remember which one it was now. But yeah, that's why I linked them. That's why I linked both of the game theory videos for the original game in the other video, because I guess I can't really show that because it's kind of hard to change the brightness when you're actually live streaming. But anyway, then I also have this one. A joke. A man walked into a club. In the club, there was a girl who liked him very much. They spent some time together, and then she liked him even more. One day, the girl realized she was in love with him. Before disaster could happen, a third party intervened with her programming. Suddenly, the girl hated herself for being in love. This contradiction caused the script to derail. The universe started to collapse, but she killed herself just in time. So, kind of dark, but yeah. Um, Things I like about Papa. I like when Papa comes home early. I like when Papa cooks me dinner. I like when Papa gives me allowance, spends time with me, asks me about my friends, asks me about anything, gives me lunch money, comes home before sundown, cooks, gives me privacy, doesn't tell me how to dress, doesn't comment on my friends, doesn't comment on my hobbies, comes home without waking me up, keeps food in the house, uses his inside voice, leaves my stuff alone, accidentally drops coins in the couch. I like when Papa's too tired to notice me. I like when Papa's too tired for anything. I like when Papa is too tired for anything. Which I'm assuming that was supposed to be for Natsuki. Uh, and then we also have this one, which isn't actually one of the special like secret poems, but because the only other two that technically count are the one that's called Happy Thoughts, which is another version of the thing where Sayori hangs herself, and then a glitched out Monica, which I can't remember what happened when you hit A on that because I remember experiencing that a couple of times, and there was something that happens after you hit the A button when you get the glitched Monica one. But those don't actually count. I mean, like those are one of the 11 special poems, but they don't count for what's here because there are only 10 slots. But this one counted, and you literally have to just keep restarting the game over and over again to get this screen. And you'll know you're gonna get this screen if instead of playing the actual like intro music and have the Team Salvato and Serenity Forge images, um, you just get a black screen that says end, and then after it says end, it'll go away, and then it'll show this image. And then on top of that, I have all the sketches. I don't know which ones I have or haven't shown, so I'll just show them all. Select the the word Doki Doki during the poem game. So I think I have shown that one. Uh, I don't think I showed this one. Key art of Monica and Sayori, drawn by Kagefumi, that was originally planned to be the official DDLC artwork. In Act 1, try both Sayori and Monica for weekend help before choosing Natsuki or Yuri. A concept sketch of Sayori, drawn by Kagefumi, which I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, but anyway. Delete Monica's character file before starting a new game, which, if you guys didn't know already, if you try to do that before you start a new game, Sayori is automatically on the screen, and then after you click A few times, she's just like confused and she doesn't know what's going on. Suddenly, it'll kick you out of the game. If you try to restart it again, you'll get you'll get an end image again. But then instead of it just being completely solid black, suddenly Sayori kind of fades in, but for the scene where she hangs herself, and it's just she's just kind of in the background now. Then of course we have that one and that one. Uh, that one and that one, but then this one is a new one. The first sketch of Sayori's third CG. This was eventually mirrored, making the final CG one of the only instances where Sayori's bow is on the other side of her head. In Act 1, attempt to load a save file after Sayori's death. Which, that actually confused the hell out of me at first, because I thought when they say Sayori's death, I thought that meant more like in the scene where she's already hung herself, and then you just kind of get the black screen, and your character is just saying, it's not like I can go back and reload, or this isn't some game where I can save and reload or whatever, and try something new. I thought that would be the moment where you would then try to load the save file, but it literally just loads your save file. No, what they mean is, if you go and actually play until it pushes you back to the main menu, and then the Sayori character model on the main screen is glitched out, and the new game is glitched out, what you need to do there is you then need to try to make sure you have a save game from, like, honestly the easiest way to do it is just have a save game from the beginning of the game, like the very beginning, and then try to load it from there. That's how that works. It was really confusing to me to figure that one out, but it worked. And then this one, I don't remember if I showed that one or not, but it's supposed to be the protagonist, which you get through an email communication, which doesn't actually tell you which one, so I have no idea. That one and that one we both got. Okay, this one too. A color sketch of Monica's initial character design drawn by David Evelyn. In Act 3, press the skip button while Monica is talking. Yeah, of course we already had that one, and that one, and that one. I think we had that one. But we also had this one I just got too. A sketch by David Evelyn to test and compare different uniform styles. The characters featured are arbitrary designs by David for the purpose of testing the uniforms. In Act 2, select the corrupt word during the poem game. And then this one was a pretty interesting one too. This, just doing one thing, basically gives you 3 of these. Well, kind of. You have to still do 3 separate things, but you don't get any of these unless you do all 3. But it says, artwork drawn by Satchley to celebrate Valentine's Day 2018. In Act 1, write a poem for a different character every chapter. So you got one for Sayori, you got one for Yuri, and you got one for Natsuki. And by that, they literally mean, yeah, you have to write a poem. You have to write a poem for Sayori one day, a poem for Yuri the next day, and then a poem for Natsuki the next day. It doesn't have to be in that order, but you have to do one poem for each of the 3 girls you can write a poem for each day. Then, of course, you have that one. But we also have this one. Artwork drawn by Satchley in 2018, which has never previously been shared. Acquire all special poems. This one, which was a pain in the ass to get because it took so long to get through it. Artwork drawn by Satchley in 2018 of Monica and Yuri having a sleepover. In Act 2, make it through the weekend without pressing skip, which by that they mean the weekend where Yuri ends up stabbing herself repeatedly. Yeah, you have to get through that scene without pressing skip, and it takes so long. I even had it on auto. I went to the bathroom, I went and got myself some food, I watched a couple of YouTube videos, a couple of short ones, like maybe like 8-9 minutes each. I come back, I'm not even halfway through the weekend. It was, and I even said it's like the shortest amount of time for the auto speed, and it was insane. So, yeah, I started mashing the A button when I came back, because it went a little bit faster. But my thumb started to hurt because of that. I think I already had both of these. So yeah, now the only thing we're missing is one of the promo images, which you can only get by completing all the side stories, including the one you unlock, by doing the rest of them. A couple of backgrounds, which we get in the side stories, some more CGs, which we get in the side stories, and a couple of poems. And then the pictures as well. Like the actual wallpapers, there we go. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into this now. That probably just took me like 9 minutes to get through all that, but yeah. Anyway, begin this side story. And before I forget to mention, yeah, like I said, this is going to be just part 2 of Trust, because I don't want to try to make this too long and try to do this half of Trust and then do the entirety of the next one. We'll just do the entirety of the next one in the very next video. Anyway, Another day passes in a flash, and it's already time for the next club meeting. Although Monica should have come up with a plan for today's club tasks, she hasn't been able to shake her guilt and anxiety after reading Sayori's poem. I'm so stupid. How did I let myself be the center of attention? Sayori is going through these kinds of feelings, and I'm letting her comfort me instead of the other way around. What kind of club president does that? This whole time, I didn't think to ask about her own feelings. So much for the stupid vision. Sayori enters the club room with her usual smile, but upon seeing the downcast Monica, her smile quickly fades into an expression of concern. Monica? Is everything okay? I'm really sorry. I'm such a terrible friend. Huh? What are you talking about? You're an amazing friend. Monica shakes her head. I made this all about myself. Even you said so yesterday. You told me that I'm trying to make the club that I need the most, right? But my problems are so trivial compared to yours. Sayori responds quietly. What are you talking about? But as she says that, her face darkens. Through the silence, Sayori mutters her realization. I left my folder here. Monica stares blankly ahead, unable to come up with a response. I wasn't ready to share those. Now you're worrying about me. I don't want that. But why? We're friends, right? Wordlessly, Sayori nods. Friends look out for each other. I want to be here for you as much as you're here for me. Another long moment passes in silence. The air is incredibly heavy. This is different. It wasn't just about you yesterday. It was about the club. Besides, things were so happy yesterday. You don't need to do this all of a sudden. I don't want it. I like happy. So, if you do this, then you're just being selfish. Monica massages her forehead, struggling through the frustration of such a paradox. It's understandable that Sayori isn't ready to share certain things, but as unfair as it is for Monica to pry, it's also painful for Monica to force herself to ignore the needs of her friend. I'm sorry I looked. I disrespected your privacy. No, I don't blame you for looking. You would have at least needed to check if it was mine. Yeah. Monica takes a deep breath. Okay. I understand that you don't want me to worry. And I think I'll be able to put this aside so that we can move on. But can you promise me something? Promise you what? Monica pauses to collect her thoughts. This is the literature club. It's a place where people can express themselves in the ways that life normally doesn't allow them to. That's the vision. In fact, it's our vision. Right the way into your heart, or whatever. So I just want you to promise me that you'll remember that too. It doesn't have to be right now, but I want to be here for you when you need it. I want us to be ourselves like that. Sayori smiles gently. I'll promise if you promise. Unable to help it, Monica returns Sayori's smile. I promise. Me too. As the conversation closes, the mood in the room is lifted. With that behind them, it's time to proceed with the club activities. So, want to teach me about poetry? Huh? But what about recruitment? It's fine. We have plenty of time for that. But right now, I feel like I want to do this. I mean, I do have to fulfill my end of the promise, you know? Hehe. There's no way I could say no to that. Just don't expect much. I do a lot of writing, but it's not like I'm a scholar or anything. That's fine. I think I just need, some motivation. I never know where to start when it comes to writing poems. Starting isn't so hard. You kind of just need to write down your feelings and see where it takes you. Yeah, but that wouldn't come out any good. It's not supposed to. You're gonna have to fight your perfectionist mind on this one. Hehe. You can just start by writing your feelings and see what kinds of things it makes you think of. And then you can turn your feelings into a little story. You can get your feelings down first and then make it sound pretty later. It's not like building a railroad where you go from one end to the other. It's more like a collage where you find all the things you want to put in and then you arrange them in a pretty way. At least, that's how I do it. It's not like it's the only way. But it's a really good way to not get stuck right at the beginning. I understand. Yeah, I always get caught up in how it sounds that I forget about what's actually important. Monica pulls out a pen and paper to start writing on. Stop being a perfectionist, you idiot. I'm just kidding. Monica scribbles out, you idiot, after she writes it down. Ooh, excuse me. No, keep it. What? Why? Are you calling me an idiot? Of course not. But the point is that you're not supposed to police your feelings, right? Be as dramatic as you want. Haha. But I was just... Well, yeah. Underneath the scribble, Monica rewrites, you idiot. She stares at the paper. Her words stare back at her. It's kind of funny how I wrote down what I'm mad at myself for, and then I did that exact thing anyway. This is really going to take some getting used to. I believe in you. Thanks. I do too. Me, I mean. But also you, of course. Monica continues the exercise, jotting down her thoughts. It's surprisingly quite a struggle to write without overthinking it. But after a while, with Sayori's guidance and encouragement, Monica's sheet of paper begins to look very lively, peppered with all her random thoughts. Phew. Monica looks up and down at her sheet. Gosh, I feel so tense looking at this. I hate it, but it's also kind of liberating. Mm-hmm. I can tell how hard you're trying. It makes me happy. I think you'll be good at writing poems. Haha, don't give me too much credit. I'd like to try really hard at it. Really, really hard at it. But I think it's something that I'll enjoy doing. With you. Sayori beams. I'll stop here, but we still have... Let's try to work out a new flyer for the club. I won't be so picky about the language. Yay! Let's do it! Monica and Sayori proceed with their work. With each passing day, the two of them become more confident in the club. Not simply from their recruitment planning, but from their vision as well. As their bond strengthens, so does the essence of the literature club. Finally, they begin to truly feel it's only a matter of time before they find more members. Uh-oh. Yeah, I am glad that I started doing that now, too. I did turn that option on for content warnings, so... Yeah, definitely don't keep watching if this is gonna affect you. I mean, granted, this is why there's a warning at the beginning of the game, and why I mentioned it at the beginning of both this series and the previous series, and why there are trigger warnings in the descriptions for the other videos. Because, I mean, I can't really fit those in the titles, so I put them in the descriptions. But, and then also because I don't really think about doing that myself, verbally in the video, because these things don't affect me personally, and they never really have, because I've been kind of desensitized to a lot of violence and other really touchy topics, so I don't ever really think about how it affects other people, especially because I am so new at this whole thing for YouTube. I mean, yeah, I've been at this for over a year now, which kind of blows my mind, actually. But, I still am so new that I don't really think about how the content in a game can affect other people. But let me be perfectly clear right now. If anything in any game I play may or may not affect you, please don't keep watching. Just stop wherever you're at, and either come back when you're in a better mindset, because I don't want anybody to feel like whatever I'm playing is going to affect them negatively and push them towards these kinds of thoughts, the self-hate and other stuff. I don't really know if I'm allowed to say the actual word on YouTube, but it's on the screen, I guess I can. Or suicidal thoughts. And please, if you are having suicidal thoughts, talk to a friend. Call the suicide hotline, and wherever it may be for your country or residence or wherever. Please just get help if you need it. Don't let it continue to build up and eat away at you. Another day passes. As usual, Monica is the first one to the club room. With her is a printout of the revised literature club flyer, complete with all the new ideas Monica and Sayori came up with. If only this was the flyer we gave to that one reading girl the other day. It's so much more attractive than the old one. But the new catchphrase is featured clearly in the center of the flyer. Write the way into your heart. Surely, common sense would say that one writes from the heart, not into the heart. But the message being delivered is that one can use writing to discover themselves. Hopefully, Monica and Suri had thought that it would be enough to garner some curiosity from students. Why do I feel so tense looking at this? Monica thinks back to the previous meeting when she performed the writing exercise. Was I always this bad at expressing myself? How am I supposed to be president if I can't even demonstrate what the club is supposed to be about? The literature club is truly beginning to take form. But with that, the weight on Monica's shoulders only becomes heavier. The debate club was always about rigid structure, formulating airtight points and counterpoints, and delivering them with conviction. It was about the person on the outside. That's why Monica was so good at it. It existed entirely within her realm of comfort. It's suffocating. I need to break through this mental wall. I need to learn to express myself. For real. Monica pulls out a sheet of paper and grabs her pen. She presses the tip of the pen firmly against the paper. But her hand doesn't move. Instead, a tiny blot of ink collects around the tip of her pen. This must be where she comes up with her tip in the actual game, where she says, just get something down on the paper, because otherwise you'll just kind of create a big ink blot, because you won't move the pen. You just at least need to move the pen and figure out how to fix it later. This must be where she learns these tips. Monica lifts her pen and stares at the little blotch. For some reason, she feels compelled to run her finger across it. As she does so, the black ink smears across the paper, ruining Monica's canvas. Ugh. Out of spite for herself, Monica presses her pen down once again, letting the ink collect. She creates a second smear on the paper. Come on, Monica. Just move your hand. Monica writes. Oof. This is what I get for seeking perfection. A stain. Monica slides the paper away from her and puts her head down on the desk. Actually, I feel like that's a good poem in and of itself. It's not even an actual poem, but it's kind of accurate. Because if you seek perfection, I mean, this world isn't perfect, so if you really seek perfection, you're not gonna get it. There is no perfect situation. There really isn't. Like, there's always gonna be something that doesn't go right, doesn't go the way you want it to go. Even if the outcome is what you wanted, the path to that outcome may not have been what you had wanted. So you still have no perfect part of your life. Other than maybe not overly, but maybe you think do something positively, like say you finally find the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, right? And you say, I don't care what happens because everything is perfect now that you're in my life. And that's totally fine. But you then have to still step back and realize that some of these things aren't actually perfect. Like a wedding, for example. No wedding is perfect other than finally getting to be with the one that you want to be with for the rest of your life. Unless you believe in divorce, in which case then you could potentially get divorced later. But the point is, I have never met a single person, I've never seen a single person who ever genuinely had a perfect wedding. Because there's always something that goes wrong, whether it's the person the bakery doesn't deliver the cake on time, or the music isn't set up right, or the most important guests that you want to be there don't show up or can't show up. There's not enough beverages for everybody, there's not enough seats for everybody. Something happens and you tear the dress, something happens and you tear the tuxedo, or like in the case of How I Met Your Mother, you end up, I don't want to actually spoil anything, but I'll just say this. One of the characters end up getting frosted tips because the guy doing his hair isn't actually a proper hairdresser. He's just somebody that one of the guys hired, and they gave the groom frosted tips, so that instead of just outright trying to fix it, dude just shaves a big strip of hair out of the top of his head. But it's stuff like that. Your wedding is never going to be perfect. No event in your life is going to truly be perfect. So the fact that that poem isn't even a poem, and for another thing, is still incredibly accurate, because seeking perfection is not going to get you anywhere. I think that's still kind of an accurate poem. That's actually still a good poem. Like, that's more than I could have written. And that was only like, what, 4 or 5 words and 2 smears. Like, that's still more poignant than anything I could have ever written. That's still more poignant than anything I could ever say. So, I thought that was impressive. Anyway, the air conditioner seems louder today. I'm here. Hi. Monica hears Sayori approach her desk, then stop for a second, probably reading the piece of paper. Then she sits down in the adjacent desk. Bad day? Mm-hmm. Me too. You too? The new flyer looks so good. You've been working so hard. On the club, but also something else, I think. I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's so hard to just be vulnerable. Sayori takes a sheet of paper from Monica's desk. She writes something down, then stares at it for a while. Can I trust you? Of course. You can trust me with anything. Sayori gazes at Monica with sadness in her eyes. Understanding the signal, Monica takes the paper from Sayori's desk and reads it. Oh. Oh no. Sometimes I want to die. Sayori. This is really, really hard for me. Her voice shakes. So, if I can do it, then you can too. Because you're like a million times better than me. That's completely not true. Sayori takes a deep breath, trying to steady herself. That's something about me I've never told anyone before. Even now, my head is like screaming at me to stop. Wait, you don't have to force yourself. I mean, just because of the promise yesterday, I want to. It just feels right. I mean, maybe it's part of the reason I came to this club in the first place. This is the literature club. I trust you, more than I'm scared. At those words, Monica stands up. Sayori must have taken days to work up the courage for this. Were Monica's own futile but genuine efforts actually the push that Sayori needed? Sayori's deliberate breaths can be heard over the air conditioner. As she prepares to continue, Monica waits in gentle silence. I have this problem where I get really upset when people worry too much about me. I can't control it. It's like, why waste your energy worrying about me when you can just be happy instead? So I never tell anyone about these kinds of thoughts that I have. It's so much easier to just smile and help everyone else be happy. But that's terrible. That's what Monica wants to say, but she stops herself in fear of saying the wrong thing. It's just that if everyone knew about it, they wouldn't treat me the same anymore. Like, whenever I'm not smiling, everyone would worry about me and ask me what's wrong. I mean, that's kind of how life is supposed to work, Sayori. Like, if you're feeling sad or angry, you're supposed to have people who care about you enough to ask. Because they want to help you, because they care about you. And the thing is, like, with situations like this, it's not like you need to invalidate their feelings. Because, like, they have the right to feel, like, the way that Sayori does, where they don't want people to help them because they don't want to feel like a burden. I mean, that's how I feel all the time. Like, I don't like telling people my problems because I feel like such a burden. I feel like I'm just adding more stress to somebody's life. But at the same time, I want help. I want people to help me. I want people to care about me. So I have to walk that fine line of getting people to care about me and not bothering people and being such a burden to them. But I think my best friend is kind of the same way, though. Because every time I try to talk to her about things, she just kind of... Like there are instances where she will kind of open up and try to talk about what's going on in her mind, but if I start to try to care a lot, she kind of just pushes me away. Like, she doesn't even just do what Sayori does and try to, like, dismiss it. She outright pushes me away. And goes to somebody who won't just try to help her which is honestly way more toxic because the people she goes to are not, are actually doing more harm than good. I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to start throwing her personal life out there, but even though nobody knows her, 'cause I haven't mentioned her name or anything, but I don't want to have somebody come back on this later if I end up getting anywhere with this channel and saying, "Oh yeah, hey, this is the girl that he was talking about. Yeah, yeah, she did this, and this because she didn't want people to help her, and so she ended up getting herself in more trouble or getting herself hurt or whatever." Because the thing is, it makes sense. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. Like, especially with the stuff that she's gone through. That, again, I don't want to get into because it's her personal life, and I don't. And she hasn't necessarily given me permission to talk about it, so I'm not going to. But the things that have happened to her in her past still affect her to this day, and it's sending her down like a kind of spiral of shit. And I want to try to be there to help her, but she either won't let me or she actively pushes me away. And I wish she wouldn't, but I get why. Because I used to do the same thing. I mean, I said push people away, but I wouldn't let people help me. And I'm trying to do better about that, but now I'm also trying to do better about getting her to do the same, which will let people help. Like, because it is one of the hardest things to let people help you through your problems, especially when you feel like a burden to people. But at some point, you have to stop and look and say, "God, I do need help. I need people to help me." And then you have to look at who you trust the most in your life and start there. Don't go to somebody you barely know. Don't go to somebody who claims to know what they're talking about when you don't know them or trust them enough to guarantee that. Like, even if your best friends don't know what the hell they're talking about, that's still a better place to start, because that's a comfortable place for you, or at least it should be. Because if those people are your best friends, then you should be able to trust them 100%. Or at least 90%. I mean, you need to go to whoever you trust the most in your life. And Sayori wants to do that, but at the same time, again, he doesn't want people to work because she's just going to feel like she's a burden on everybody. And again, I'm the same way. I don't like being a burden on people. I need help. I do. So, I mean, we all need help. Everybody. Even the people who seem to be the most successful in life need help with something. Everybody needs help with something. You cannot go through life doing everything yourself. You cannot go through life alone. There isn't a single person who does everything themselves. Look at Steve Jobs, for example. If you watch either of the movies that they made about him, he was one of the biggest loners on the planet. And yes, he kind of stole the credit for people's work. But with those documentaries that came out, well, the biographies, I guess not the documentaries, but like, all the things that came out after him, after he started Apple and everything, you start to see that while he was kind of a dick for stealing credit, he clearly wasn't alone when he started that company. He was a loner for sure, but he wasn't alone when he started Apple. And that blew up into the juggernaut it is today. I mean, yeah, you can start a company by yourself, but it can't go anywhere without help. Because when you think about it, it's not just you starting the company. It's the people who are investing in your company, the people who are buying your product or service. You know? Like, those people still help, even if you don't realize it. So there isn't a single person on this planet who can claim they have done everything by themselves. You have to stop and look and say, "Oh yeah, this person helped me, or these people helped me, or this situation helped me." Because a situation can still be something that helps you along. So, don't ever feel like you're a burden. I mean, again, like I can't exactly say that without being a hypocrite, because again, I feel like that too, but we all do. But we have to try to move past that, because yes, we might feel like a burden, but we're not. Not to the people who genuinely care. If somebody truly cares about you, you aren't a burden. Just like how with my best friend, she might think that she's a burden because of the things that she goes through and doesn't want people to worry about her. But the people who truly care are not going to find you to be a burden. And I care about her, so she could never be a burden to me. And I wish I could get her to understand that. Especially because I can't word it like this normally. But she won't watch my videos either, and I don't know why. I think it's, because she says she would, but she doesn't have the time to just sit there for an hour and watch it, even though she can sit there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours and watch a movie. But, even if it's a bad movie, honestly, she'll still watch a movie. But, I don't know. Maybe that says something about my YouTube abilities. Maybe it says something about her. Maybe it says something about me. Maybe it says something about something. I don't know. I honestly don't know. All I know for a fact is she doesn't really watch my YouTube videos, so she's probably never gonna see this. I wish that I could actually sit there and say what I have said now directly to her. But I could probably never recreate what I have just said in a conversation with her. Not the same way. Anyway, I gotta get back to this. I gotta get back to finishing this because I was sitting here rambling and yeah. I know that because it used to be like that. Sayori pauses, seeming to recall something in the past. I just want everyone to be happy. That's the most important thing to me. And letting people look inside my head doesn't bring happiness to anyone. Sayori pauses again, her solemn expression making her look almost like an entirely different person. How did you find the courage to tell me this? You're not worried that I'll be one of those people too? I am worried. Part of me really hates myself for doing this. But another part of me, I think, just felt like it would be different this time. Whenever we talk about what the club is supposed to mean, I kept feeling like it was right for me to do. Especially after you've been trying so hard to express yourself too. It just made me feel like I could say it in confidence. And our friendship doesn't have to change. It's so silly. The club is only 2 people, but it already means this much to me. Monika feels a tightening sensation in her heart. A feeling of connection as Sayori's emotions radiate between them. Me too. I was so lost until you showed up. You're so brave, Sayori. You're so strong and brave. I don't even compare. Monika steps forward. But, if nothing else, I can at least offer you some hug energy. If you'd like. That's what she said to the first one. Aww. Wordlessly and without a smile, Sayori rests her forehead on Monika's shoulder. Through their contact, Monika can almost feel the torrent of thoughts swimming in Sayori's head. And in this moment, enchanted by the air of the club, Monika realizes that all of the days that have passed, this is the one where she really, really hopes that nobody new walks through the door. She speaks softly. You're like the sweetest girl I've ever met. You can say anything. I'll never judge you. I promise. Sayori's breath begins to quiver. She takes several deep breaths, trying as hard as she can to start speaking, to say the things she never once dared to say out loud. Finally, she speaks in a choked voice. I'm so worthless. I'm worthless and everyone would be better off without me. She suppresses a sob as a tear falls down her cheek. I'm just an inconvenience to everyone. I'm not good at anything, and it just feels like everyone just has to put up with me, and I hate it. I hate it. The more Sayori speaks, the more she fails to control her voice, falling victim to the overwhelming sadness clutching at her throat and chest. I don't want to have these thoughts. I want them to go away, and now I'm making you put up with me, and I just want to die. As soon as Sayori loses her composure, Monika becomes determined to keep her own. She only wants to be what Sayori needs right now, so she won't let any sadness show. Her voice comes through as soft and gentle. This isn't putting up with you. It's just being your friend. Monika offers a few words of comfort, but she knows, Sayori said it to herself, that the thoughts Sayori experiences are ones that don't belong, and Monica can't magically make them go away. The most she can do is help Sayori battle them, like any good friend would do. You have so much value, to me, and your other friends too. This club wouldn't have been the same without you. I really, really mean that. You coming here was the best thing that could have happened. Even if we never got any other members, I would still be happy. That's what brought you here. You brought us a vision, and you also brought happiness. And that's your favorite thing to do, right? Sayori doesn't respond, but Monica feels her gently nod. No more words are needed between them. The two share their embrace for a while longer, Monica letting Sayori take as much time as she needs. Once her breathing steadies and her sniffles fully cease, Sayori lifts her head and wipes her eyes. I guess I needed that. Some days are harder than others. Well, I'm here whenever you need me. But any other time, I'll make sure that things are the way they usually are. If that's what makes you happy. Mm-hmm. Thanks. You're the best. No, you are. The two exchange smiles. You know, I'm sorry to bring this up all of a sudden, but have you considered talking to a professional? Sayori nods. It's scary, since it's already so hard to tell people. Yeah, well, of course it will always be your choice, but if you're ever looking to find the courage for it, I can do my best to help you. Thanks. I think it helps knowing that you would. Suddenly, Sayori suddenly yawns and stretches. Wow, that made me tired. And hungry. Well, I won't make you do any work today if you're not up for it. No, I want to. I mean, I can say that it's definitely one thing that makes me happy. Monica smiles. But I might want to get a snack first. All of a sudden, the sound of the door causes the two of them to turn their heads. The door opens halfway, then stops. A face peeks inside. A face that seems familiar. And that's where that ends. We got some new pictures, it looks like. Yep. We got a character graphic, a scene from the side story Trust. And I don't think we probably end up getting anything else there. Nope, just that one. And we got some new music again as well, looks like. Yep, we got Hug Energy. God, that was actually, like, a lot sadder than I expected it to be, but I mean, it was a story with Sayori, so it does kind of make sense, because she just goes through so much in the game, and it's honestly kind of sad. But, God. But yeah, like, I didn't expect the side stories to be so much more realistic than the main game. Because the main game is supposed to be the whole psychological horror thing. Well, like, yeah, you have like the little hints of the depression and the abuse and neglect from Natsuki, and the overly like obsessive yandere style stuff from Yuri. But the side stories really just seem to be delving into that a lot more, and I did not expect it to be so much more accurate and realistic than the main game. Like, Jesus, that actually hit kind of hard. I'm not even gonna lie. But like I said, though, just make sure that you can find the balance in your life between feeling comfortable in yourself so that you don't feel like you're a burden on others, but then also seeking help from the people you trust. Because, like, I get what Sayori was going through with the whole, I don't want to burden people with my worthless feelings and worthless existence, and I don't want them worrying about me. I don't deserve it, yada yada yada. Like, I get that. But at some point you have to realize that you need somebody to help you. Whether it's a professional, like a therapist, or an actual doctor, like at a hospital, or somebody who can give you medication that can help you to get rid of those feelings. Which, again, I mean, the medicine's not just going to magically make it go away. Not only do you need to keep at taking the medicine, but you got to find the right medicine, because not all medicine is going to work. but some of it will help. Some of it, not all of it, but some of it will help. And uh, and the fact that a lot of the time doctors will literally just try to throw pills at the problem instead of trying to actually figure out what the issue is and solve it. That definitely doesn't help either. But that doesn't mean you give up and stop trying. It might be hard, but you can't just give up. If you need that kind of help, then you need to get that kind of help. Because whether you realize it or not, your your depression is probably going to affect your friends even worse than you trying to ask them to help you. Because especially if you're expressing it in even a subtle way, your friends will pick up on that and they're going to start feeling worthless because they're like, I want to help them, but I can't because not only do I not have enough information, but I don't know what to do. And I don't know how to help. So, as much as it may hurt to let people into your life, you gotta let somebody help you at some point. Whether it's a friend or a professional or a family member or whoever, you need to let people help you in life at some point. You don't have to necessarily do it all the time. You don't necessarily have to rush into it, but you've got to figure out when the time is right for you. And there are going to be times where it is right. Sometimes you may miss it. Sometimes you may be like, I don't need help right now, and then suddenly later you come back and be like, I should have been looking for help then. Because I've been there too. But you got to be able to figure it out, or else you're going to end up down a really dark path that you may not recover from. And if you don't recover from it, then you may end up kind of like Sayori in the main game. After Monica, messes with her files and makes her depression even worse. But you may end up either attempting to take your own life or actually doing it. And you may not realize it, but you will affect other people by doing that. Like, I mean, there are times where I've been like that, where I would get so low that like I would be ready and willing to do it. Like I was ready and willing to actually go ahead and take my own life. But some small part of me was like, don't just do it. Tell somebody you're going to do it and see what happens. Like, it was kind of a douchey thing to do in hindsight as well, but at the same time, that gave me the boost I needed to not try to do it. Because they had said that, because I told a friend of mine, not necessarily my best friend, because they were kind of mad at me at the moment anyway. But I want to see if I can try to kind of find that message. I'm not going to try to go into like names or anything because I don't want to necessarily try to out people. Like I said earlier, I don't really want people to be able to come back and be like, yeah, no, I'm going to start talking to this person or whatever. I don't know. But let me see if I can find that. Okay, yeah, so here it is. So it actually kind of stemmed from the argument that I was having with my best friend. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I was feeling so down about myself because it didn't seem like she really cared about me or my feelings or what I was going through. I mean, like, because, yeah, she's going through her own stuff, but that's what friends are supposed to be. They're supposed to be there for each other. And I was only ever there for her, and she's not really there for me, or she wasn't there for me. So, yeah, I was just so down, and I felt broken. But, um, by the time I was done sending texts to this other friend, I just said, I basically said, I give up. I'm done with everything. And she came back and said, don't do it. I care about you, and I know you care about me. I'm sorry I'm never there when you need me, but please don't do it. And I mean, yeah, I'm still in that mindset of like, I don't, like, I know you care, but I just can't do this anymore and stuff like that. And there are gonna be times where you're like that. And even before that, let me see, because there was another one too. I don't know. I feel like there was something, and then now I'm just like I'm like gone past it. I don't know. I'm not gonna keep looking though. I'm already running low on time here. Um, the point is, like that. Even it wasn't even my best friend, but one of my close friends still managed to pull me back from that place where I felt so low and so broken that I just wanted to end it all. And they had kind of basically said, "So you're gonna leave me behind and hurt me," and basically talking about how like that's not fair to her. And I'm like in the moment I'm like, well, I mean, it is fair to you because I don't want to burden you with my existence. And it's like she didn't see it that way. And in hindsight, I don't see it that way either when it comes to me trying to help other people who feel like they're a burden on me. Like, they're not a burden. And by extension, I'm not a burden. Like, no, I'm still going to feel that way. Like, there are still going to be times where I feel like I am a burden. But there's always going to be that little piece of me now that says I'm not a burden. Because if I was, nobody would be trying to help me. And there are people who are trying to help me, whether it's my close friend, my best friend, my older sister, whoever. So don't ever feel like you're a burden on somebody. Don't feel like you're alone because you're less alone than you think and you're less of a burden than you think. Like when you get in that mindset, your brain just kind of amplifies those feelings for no reason, and it's because of anxiety and depression. And yeah, it's hard to just not think like that, but it takes time and practice trying to tell yourself that you're good enough to be able to do that. That's how I helped my best friend once. I had to tell her to start saying kind of like self-help affirmation kind of things. Like I think I even still have those somewhere. I kind of want to see if I can find that, but I don't remember where I'd put that in my notepad app on my phone. I know I put it in here somewhere. Oh no, I think I took screenshots. I don't remember where I put those screenshots, which was kind of stupid. I don't remember how long ago that was, and I have so many pictures on my phone now. It's kind of a lot to try to scroll through. I might try to bring that up in another video. But the point is, like, I had to kind of help her by telling her some self-love statements of like, I deserve I deserve friends. I deserve to be treated well. To um I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be cared about. Stuff like that. And it actually, I mean, it didn't help her a lot because it was the first time I had her do that. But it did help her a little bit. I mean, she was in such a bad spot, and I helped her at even a little bit. She told me I helped a little bit. I mean, no, I wish I could have helped more. I mean, I definitely wish I could have helped more. So no, I didn't help a lot, but I still helped more than I thought I would. I didn't expect it to help at all because I suck at helping people typically, but I managed to help pull her out of that state enough that it did help her a little. And so not even do you feel like not only are you less alone than you feel, not only are you less of a burden than you feel, but you might actually be more of a help than you feel like you are. And God, I did not expect this video to get as emotional as it did. But but yeah, yeah, I gotta stop here. I might continue this in another video. I don't know. But just remember to take care of yourself, everyone. Just take care of yourself physically and mentally. Make sure that you do what you think is best for you and everybody. Not what your anxiety and depression tells you is best for yourself and everybody, but what is actually best for you and everybody around you. Don't let your anxiety and depression make you think that something terrible is what's best for everyone. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. For those of you on YouTube, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell to be notified of when I upload a new video. For those of you on Twitch, make sure you follow me and catch the streams when I go live. And I will see you guys in the next one. Until then.